Thank you, Chad, for being our Zoom tech and remembering to record the meeting. At times, I think there's been at least one time where I didn't start that until somebody said, "Oh, this meeting's being recorded." It's like, "Oh, okay."
We're perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Proves we're human.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one that's imperfect. That's the thing. Makes me feel better.
Well, there's a great line in my favorite book. This is in The Art of Motorcycle. I mean, it's where person says the only reason you notice that something is wrong is that you care about it.
Nice.
And I like that.
Yeah.
So if you didn't care about it, you wouldn't know it was wrong.
Right.
That's one of the basis of appreciative inquiry too. Well, the clock is ticked over to 10 o'clock, and I'd like to welcome you to the Namakwa Unitarian Universalist congregation. We meet upon lands once walked by Native Americans, including the Clovis people, the Folsom people, the Arapaho, and the Cheyenne. We honor the care that they brought to the land, and we seek to sustain their heritage. My name is Doug Stewart, and I serve as a worship associate in this kind, caring, compassionate community of seekers. Our minister, the Reverend Laurel Leifert, is away most of the summer. Anyone seeking pastoral care can contact me or the Pastoral Care Ministry. I use the pronouns he, him, and his. We are an intentionally inclusive church that believes all people are worthy of love. All are welcome here. We are people of open minds, loving hearts, helping hands, gutsy creativity, and feet that walk our talk. Today's service is centered around walking our talk, putting our values into action, taking social action. Before we begin, I just wonder if we have any first-time visitors. And let me look around here a second. I don't see anybody yet, but if so, and you want to, you can either say hello in the Zoom chat, or you can unmute your mic and just say your name so that we can give you a special welcome. So are there any first-time visitors here today? Just exploring? Well, if there are, welcome, and partake as you like. I hope if you are a visitor, I hope you come back and perhaps find your spiritual home here. The service is being recorded, and it'll be posted on the namakwauU.org website. Chad Escalar is our faithful Zoom tech today, and he'll keep our microphones muted so that the sound quality will be as clear as possible. You'll have a chance to unmute during joys and sorrows and for our virtual coffee quarter hour after the service. And now I'd like to introduce Janet Gillette, the other worship associate leading today's service, to light our chalice.
If I can do this without killing myself. And as we light this chalice, keep in mind that our one issue is holding up and affirming the value of every person. As long as there is work to be done, it will be the invitation of our church to join hearts and hands in doing that work. Our one issue is love, in whatever way we can offer it to a wild and hurting world. The Reverend Pam Rumanchik. Come, let us worship together. And now, sit back and enjoy our opening song, We Are a Gentle, Angry People, sung by the San Francisco Gay Men's Chorus. Now, if you will join me in our congregational affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its call. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now Doug will give us our time for all ages.
For our time for all ages, here's a story that many of you have heard. I'd like for you to think about, as you view this short video, I'd like for you to think about why the girl does what she does in the starfish story, and notice who joins her. Chad, if you can get our video going.
What are you doing with all the starfish?
I'm throwing them back into the ocean.
Why?
Because if I don't, they'll never grow up.
Look at all of them. You can't possibly make a difference.
Maybe the difference Thanks for that one.
Made a difference to that one. But why did the girl throw a starfish into the ocean? I'm going to suggest that it stems from compassion. She made a difference one at a time. And did you notice what happened? Someone joined her. And it's possible that that person might be inspired to save other starfish later. So she helped not only the starfish she threw in, but she helped further the cause of saving starfish beyond, by her example, beyond what she alone was doing, just by making a difference to one starfish at a time. So that's our time for all ages. And now we'll do joys and sorrows.
So now we come to that time in our service where we share the milestones in our lives, what is making us happy, and what concerns us. So first, do we have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up this coming week that anybody's willing to admit to? If so, put your name in the chat. I don't see anybody. Okay, well, so if you have something joyful or concerning to share, please go ahead and put your name in the chat, and we'll call on you to say it. Or if you want to just put what you have to say in the chat if you don't feel up to speaking it out loud. Margot.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm excited to share with you that my sister, my only sibling, is coming into town today. And I haven't seen her since Thanksgiving 2019. So there's going to be a lot of laughs and hugs and tears, I think. I'm just really excited. She's here for the week. So wanted to share that.
That's great. Congratulations, Margot. Tracy?
As many of you know, I had a procedure done in Boston. And at the same time, I had a friend also had the same procedure done. And his name is Mike. And he did not fare as well as me, and he's still on life support. So if everyone could just send healing energy for Mike Jurgis in Boston.
Mm-hmm. So a joy and a concern all in one. Pedro had a back procedure done for his sciatic nerve, and for the first time in 4 months, he's free of chronic pain. Yay, Pedro. Is anyone else? Okay. We are pretending that I've been moving pebbles from one bowl to the other because I forgot to get them. So we're pretending that. And, but Claire, you had a wonderful thing that we should say after each one says something. Can you remind us of that?
Oh, sure. If we want to, we hear you, we hold you, we care for you.
We hear you, we hold you, we care for you. And Catherine Stacy says her brother and family are in town this weekend. That's wonderful too. We hear you, we hold you, we care for you. Thanks, Claire. Okay. That's everything that we want to share for right now. We'll put a pretend pebble in a pretend bowl for all those concerns and joys that folks have that are too tender to share, that they hold in their hearts. We're with you on that. And for those concerns and joys that are happening outside of our walls in the rest of the world, the Tokyo Olympics is a mixed bag of yay and oh my God. So send thoughts over there to those folks that everything turns out okay. All right. And as we reflect on these that we have heard and that we have felt, let us go ahead and listen to this is our response, our musical response to that. Chad.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out loud.
Thank you, Chad. I'm going to tell you about my journey to social action. Arthur had his arm around my shoulders as we came down the ramp of the main building at Vallejo Senior High School. We got to the floor where our classes were and parted, waving goodbye. See you later. One of my girlfriends was standing there looking at us in disbelief. You let that put his hands on you? N-word, saying the N-word. I saw red and spat. Arthur is not an N. He's my friend, and you obviously are not. I made a conscious choice between the two of them and would never overlook overt racism again. It was then that I realized how deeply I felt about discrimination and how unfairly some people were treated. It had always been a foreign concept to me. I had no experience of it. As I've mentioned before, I grew up in the projects and saw no difference between any of the kids in the neighborhood, black, white, or brown. I saw their colors, but that wasn't a judgment. I certainly didn't judge them by their skin color, and I don't believe they judged me that way either. It would still be some time before it registered on me that people of color and the financially challenged were not treated the same as white and moneyed people. But when I did, I officially became an activist. I participated in Robert Kennedy's campaign for president in 1968 as a Kennedy girl and began writing letters protesting the Vietnam War. I marched in Berkeley against the war and in favor of People's Park and against building a parking garage, something we would later call favoring open lands. After taking time out to raise my daughters, with my second husband, I dove headlong into social justice, working for the city of Long Beach in the diversity department, the National Conference for Community and Justice in a number of capacities, including talking in class, a program bringing together members of different gangs, building bridges, taking these gang members to the mountains to learn to empathize with one another, and responding to drive-by shootings at local schools. We worked with the police department, facilitating communication between officers and the community, and the gang prevention task force, which my husband headed up. We established and ran the 4 Elements Gang Prevention and Leadership Program based on the 4 elements of hip hop at the Methodist Church. The disappointing truth is that we still have so far to go to close the gap of systemic discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, age, and wealth. I believe that we are still fighting this fight for the same reason we can't get everyone vaccinated against COVID. People deny the facts, they don't admit there's a problem, and they refuse to accept responsibility. We have the tools we need to do the work. The social justice ministry here at Namaqua needs more bodies and a chairperson. My days of taking it to the streets are over. I don't have the stamina for that anymore. So I donate to social justice causes, and I participate in the ministry here at Namaqua. The urgency is still here to see to it that, as Martin dreamed, everyone is judged by the content of their character. Once I discovered the content of my girlfriend's character, I chose to disengage from her and stand by my real friend, Arthur. Given the same choice today, I would do the same. May it be so.
Thank you, Janet. And you've done a lot in your social action journey. Now we will move to collecting our offering, and Chad will put the donation link in the chat. Half of this quarter's plate collection will be shared with a local nonprofit our social action ministry has chosen, the Martin Luther King Celebration Committee. Several of you, and I think, and that includes Trish Murtha, who I see has joined us from wherever she is. We'll have to find out afterward in our break rooms. Took part in starting this effort here in Loveland, the Martin Luther King Celebration Committee. So half of the plate will go to them for this quarter. And we're happy to continue to supporting that effort. So please be generous. In keeping with our social action theme, while we are making our offering, please listen to a rendition of John Lennon's Imagine, performed by Playing for Change.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today.
Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace.
You might say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world.
You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Isn't that marvelous? And even though it has some gender-specific language in it, that just reminds me of the movement that we make in broadening our understanding. I've got a little tough topic for us to put our minds and hearts around today. And so before we begin, I'd like to invite you to take a 7th inning stretch just to get the blood flowing. Social action, in particular, my topic today can be a heavy topic. So let's just, if you're willing and able, you can stand up and stretch, or stretch at your chair, or wherever you are, and practice reaching for the sky. So we're reaching for the sky. So if, just give yourself I think one of the benefits of having hymns in services is you get to stand up and sit down, and we don't get that on Zoom enough. So maybe this will give us a little blood flow going. All right, I'll get my talk up. Here we go. Most of you know about the incident. Karen Garner suffers from dementia and was 74 years old last year when she walked out of Loveland's Walmart with $14 of merchandise she hadn't paid for. She was shoplifting. Loveland police were called. During the arrest, Garner was injured. Her attorney alleges her arm was broken and dislocated, and she was denied medical care while she was in custody. And then afterward, officers reviewing the body cam footage were caught on police station surveillance camera laughing. The charges against Garner were dropped when her lawyer explained her neurological condition to the judge. 3 of the officers involved in her arrest have resigned. The arresting officer was charged with assault, a felony, and another officer charged with misdemeanors. Josh Marner, the president of Loveland's Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 52, called the incident horrific and wrote, "Our members are appalled, embarrassed, and quite frankly angered about the actions involving the treatment of Karen Garner and the behavior of those employees involved. Their behavior is inexcusable and not an accurate depiction of the way we interact with the community on a daily basis or perform our duties." Before we dig into this further, let's recognize that the vast majority of police perform their duties well, even to the point of risking their own lives for our safety. To the point of risking their own lives for our safety. We must keep this in mind. The vast majority of police serve us well. But having said that, unfortunately, we hear about incidents like Karen Garner's and worse, such as fatal shootings of unarmed people, all too often, as the Black Lives Matter movement has tragic reason to call out on a tragically regular basis. Unarmed, non-aggressive African Americans are killed by police over 3 times more often than whites, according to a Washington Post database. There is reason to call attention to Black Lives Mattering. There is reason to have concerns about law enforcement in our country, as exemplified here in Loveland. Now, many of you, including Janet, have been involved with social action most of your lives. I am a relative newcomer. Back in 2017, Laurel invited several Namaquans. You like that term? I think that's a good one. Laurel, back in 2017, Laurel invited several Namaquans to an organizing meeting with members of other local congregations to see if we wanted to do a multi-faith social action together. That meeting was sponsored by the Multi-Faith Social Action Organization, Together Colorado, and led to a monthly follow-up meeting. After getting feedback from over 500 of our congregants and friends, our local branch chose homelessness as our cause. Some of you went to the community member meeting that we held in December 2019. Let me see if I can show that to you. Are you seeing that? So that's, I don't know if you are, but yeah, that's Laurel speaking up front there, and to a community meeting on homelessness. And there's the mayor and 4 city council members are up there too. Anyone wanting to know more about Together Colorado's local homeless work or the broader statewide efforts on a wide variety of social issues can contact me. One learning I've gained from working with Together Colorado is the difference between direct service and systemic service. Mike Cromry, the director of Together Colorado, tells a story that starts with a jogger along a riverbank noticing crying emanating from a basket floating downstream. In it is a crying baby. The jogger wades out and rescues the baby and takes her to the hospital, notifying the authorities. Then the very next day, someone else finds another floating basket and baby. The whole town mobilizes, setting up around the clock watch on the river, organizing care and feeding for the stream of babies that are coming downstream. Mike points out that this is all direct service, and of course it is crucial. Each and every baby needs to be saved. But meanwhile, some town folks hike upstream to find out why the babies are being put in the river in the first place. Figuring out and addressing social root causes is systemic service. And it is systemic service that Together Colorado focuses upon, particularly around influencing public policy. This last state legislative session, we helped pass renter rights, and we standardized a police practice statewide. With regard to policing, most efforts to address police errors fall under direct service. Weed out the bad performer. Even improving training and providing more oversight falls short of getting at the systemic root of the problem, I fear. They leave unaddressed whatever encourages, at least in a few officers, a bravado job culture that laughs at causing pain. Perhaps the country's most popular proposed systemic solution is called defund the police. Audible sigh. Oh. Whoever came up with that name, with friends like them, who needs enemies? Defund the police just hands the safety narrative to critics on a platter. Together Colorado is teaching me a lot about the importance of narratives. You never say, don't think about pink elephants. Don't think about pink elephants. There's actually two things wrong with saying, don't think about pink elephants. First, of course, now everyone is thinking about pink elephants. You're drawing attention to the very thing you want to avoid giving attention to. Secondly, though, you are missing the opportunity to promote what you do want people to think about. It's like telling Johnny not to fidget in class. There's still a million other ways he'll find to be disruptive. You need to tell him what you do want him to do, to engage with you in learning. It's more difficult to do, to identify the positive narrative, to do that engagement, but it brings focus on the real goal. Oops, Atelia, can you mute please? Thank you. Defund the police is a similar negative prescription. First, it's guaranteed to raise the hackles with those in power and those comfortable with the current state of policing. Second, it focuses the discussion on how much to fund the current state of policing, instead of on a positive narrative of what we do want for public safety. Just what is our real goal? To start getting at what I think the real goal should be, I want to show you a brief video about the power of our selective attention. We have powerful minds. This video starts quickly, so let me tell you what to look for ahead of time. You're to see if you can count the number of times the team wearing white shirts passes the ball. Passes the balls, there's more than one. So count the number of times the team wearing white shirts passes the balls. Ready? Here we go.
Is a test of selective attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count? The correct answer is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla? This video is from research by Daniel Simons and Christopher Chabris and is copyrighted.
All right. I have a confession to make. The first time I saw this, I didn't see the gorilla. And I wonder how many of you didn't see it too. Simon's research indicates that about half of us completely miss it the first time around. And this is just, all this is with very, very minimal priming of where to put your attention. And if that priming is increased, then we become more oblivious to the surroundings and more focused, giving more attention to what we do focus upon. So this speaks to our power of selective. Did that work for anybody? Just put it in chat if you didn't see the gorilla. Did that work for anybody? But this speaks to our power of selective attention. Simon's work points that out. We perceive what we look for. Hold on to that thought for a moment. Many of you have heard about the controversial Stanford prison experiment done back in 1971. There's a documentary about it, and the leading professor wrote a book titled The Lucifer Effect, Understanding How Good People Turn Evil. In the experiment, a group of Stanford students, a group of Stanford student volunteers were randomly divided into guards and prisoners. The guards kept the prisoners in a mock prison for 6 days out of the 2 weeks that the experiment was planned for. The experiment was prematurely terminated because of safety concerns. Guards had become increasingly abusive to increasingly rebellious prisoners. The guards took away prisoners' mattresses and sprayed them with fire extinguishers, made them do push-ups, lots of other stuff. The experimenters reported that about 1/3 of the guards exhibited sadistic tendencies. Just 6 days earlier, they'd just all been Stanford students before they'd been given those two roles, guard and prisoner. So if we direct our tremendous attentive powers, as seen by our ability to focus on white shirts, to our defined roles, you get our roles affecting our perceptions and our behaviors, as seen in the Stanford prison experiment. Now, suppose day after day, your job was to detect wrongdoing, law breaking. Day after day, who is bad? Who is bad? Who is bad? Day after day. Could it become all you see? Just the white shirts. Just the wrongdoing. Suppose further, you could use force and worked under constant threat of violence. You could be involved in violence at any time, day after day. That's the job description we've managed to create. Incessantly attentive to wrongdoing with the ability to use force under a constant threat of violence. That's just an incredible job description when you stop and think about it. No wonder we have people under the stress of operating within such a job description fail us and themselves, causing other people pain and then being arrogant to the point of laughter. I say that job description risks creating a job culture that encourages the treatment of Karen Garner, laughing at such a tragedy, and that same job culture taking the lives of unarmed, non-aggressive citizens. I'm suggesting that it is the job description that is putting the babies into the river. If that's the root cause, whatever the solution is, we need to qualitatively change this job description. Yet we still need people looking for wrongdoing. at times exposing themselves to violence, at times willing even to risk their own lives for us. Good people doing that difficult work for us. It seems a conundrum. But here's one possibility. Suppose we start with a foundational shift, creating an organization responsible not just for law enforcement, policing, but for public safety, a much, much broader mandate. The whole department is responsible for public safety. And then in addition, we require any individual who is responsible for an aspect of law enforcement, that individual must also have at least equal responsibilities for looking after positive public safety in situations prone not to force and not to violence, but to nurturing and helping. I'm saying bring balance to each job. Prevent people from locking into the guard roles of the Stanford prisoner experiment. Make the roles broader. Creating a job description that intentionally balances looking for bad with looking to create good is more humane for our public servants and should produce more humane behavior. And it would have the side benefit of connecting public safety officers with people in need. Imagine you're being called to a shoplifting incident if you had been working with people with dementia and finding you know Karen. You have a personal relationship with her. That would lead to a very different outcome. The water cooler talk shifts from bragging about how much force you used and laughing at people's pain, but to sharing stories of how you built compassion today, a starfish at a time. What if every person responsible for law enforcement was required to have a master's of social work, as one of the people who works with me on Together Colorado, who was a policeman, also had his master's of social work? What if we required that up through and including the chief of public safety to have a master's of social work? Could we phase this in over, say, 4 years and offer scholarships to anyone interested so that they could be a part-time student, even get paid for time for classwork? It's changing the job role. Sure, it would cost money, but can you hear the rallying cry? Not defund the police, but fund real safety. Fund real safety. After all, isn't real public safety, in which we rely on our public servants to treat everyone humanely, even if they're at fault, isn't that our real goal? Real public safety? Anyway, it's an idea. My faith and love includes the belief that out of great tragedies, such as Karen Garner and the people involved in her arrest, out of great tragedies can spring even greater brand new callings, even callings that affect culture for all time, like turning the other cheek and I have a dream. It's not impossible Loveland could become a forerunner in redefining public safety for our whole country by identifying the real root causes of treating Karen so uncompassionately, and then addressing those root causes by embracing systemic change and innovating. For we need to both save each baby floating downstream and find out why they're getting in the water in the first place. It all seems like such a huge task, I know, social action does. Yet I suggest we make a difference with each starfish. Moreover, we feed our desire for systemic change with each starfish we save. We feed our desire for systemic change with each starfish we save. I'll close by suggesting to you that every time you are simply polite in public, opening a door for someone, or letting them pull out in traffic in front of you, every time you are simply polite, you are treating the other person as a starfish. In simply being polite, you are making a difference to that one. And by simply being polite, treating each other with compassion, you are directing everyone's attention to systemically building a world that recognizes the inherent worth of every person, and a world that recognizes the worth of starfish too. May it be so.
Can I say something, Doug?
Well, okay, go ahead.
There was this woman who responded to, I wrote it in the chat, to my Craigslist ad, and her son had gotten a ticket for DWI, even though it sounds like it was discrimination because they're Black. And like the police don't have a breathalyzer. They just said his eyes were red. And the first court case just ended in a delay. Does anybody know any civil rights lawyers or any organization she could call that would help her out? Because I don't know, I can't do anything right now. And I don't know anything about this area that much.
Good deal. Let me refer people to the chat to respond to you with that ask.
There's my phone number.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, for sure. Our closing song is also by Playing for Change, and it's called United.
I wanna see the world united and learn to live as one. I wanna see the world united, learn to live as one. I wanna see the world united, learn to live as one. I wanna see the world united, learn to live as one. Zala ke yando stengeli na bato bakufela bitumba. Zongisa ke yando na mituna ya bato bakufela nanzala. Zala ke yando kokit na bato bakufela bitumba. Zongisa ke yando stengeli na bato bakufela nanzala. We have to bring the world together and learn to live as one. We have to bring the world together, learn to live as one. El instante lo que cuenta, vive sonriendo hasta el final, pero vendrán días de alegría que nadie puede creer. We have to bring the world together and learn to live as one. We have to bring the world together, learn to live as one.
And Janet will extinguish our chalice. And you're on mute.
Thanks, Jay. Our time together is finished, but our work is not yet done. May our spirits be renewed and our purpose resolved as we meet the challenges of the week to come. The chalice flame will be extinguished until once again ignited by the strength of our communion. Go now in peace.
And we'll have a few announcements, and after that we'll have our coffee quarter hour in breakout rooms. So the first announcement is that today, I think it's at 5 p.m. maybe even, is our last chance to register for the fall retreat. So that's rolling forward, and it's over Labor Day. The dates are Friday, September 3rd to Sunday morning, September 5th. And it's going to be held up at the Highland Presbyterian Camp at Allens Park. And I don't know what the current count is. The last time I heard it was over 40 people. So if you want to take part in that, register today, look at the email blast for information where you can contact Janin or Claire or Jenny Saul or Vicki Clark for information or questions. So today is the last chance to sign up for that.
We're also accepting donations for that for folks who would like to come but can't afford it. So if you have it in if you have a few extra bucks burning a hole in your pocket, we would appreciate you sending it so that as many people can come as want to come.
Thank you, Janet. We, just write a check to the church, and you can put fall retreat in the memo line, and we'll use that for scholarship funds and common area and to purchase common areas for us. Trying to make that accessible to all, as Janet said. Pastoral Care is willing to help, so just let them know if you're need some help, you're off your feet for a little bit or whatever. Cindy Black, Els Dininger, Kathy Hartman, or Sally Henry are great contacts for that. Peter Schenk is wanting to start a men's group, and so you can contact him if you're interested in taking part in a men's group. I've got a kind of a strange request here concerning Kent Robertson. Kent Robertson, as many of you know, is in the Brookdale Assisted Living Center, and his birthday is coming up on Monday, August the 2nd. His daughter, Sherry, is flying in, and she knows that there's a Mexican restaurant that some of you have been at with Kent before that he really likes. They have cheap margaritas is what Sherry remembers, but she doesn't remember the name of it or where it is. And some of you have been to a Mexican restaurant with Kent, and we're trying to figure out what restaurant that is. And so if you know what Mexican restaurant you've been to with Kent, there's a picture that she's trying to dig up that has Maquians with Kent at this Mexican restaurant. She can't find it. So if you have a tip for me on what Mexican restaurant that might be, that'll get us steered in the right direction. We'll make reservations. And anybody who'd like to join in on that, that's Monday, August 2nd. We'll have that going about 5:30 just to honor Kent's birthday. And I think that's it for announcements, unless anybody knows of anything else they'd like to present. We'll move into our virtual coffee quarter hour then. Thank you for being here, and go with blessings and with creating worth and dignity for each person and each being and our whole planet in the week to come. Good to see you here. Chad, breakout rooms.
Goodbye, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Pedro.
Thank you,
I got
Doug.
it.
Thank you, Pedro. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Doug. That was great. But oh, there you are.
There he
Those
is.
were great. Those were great.
Mhm.
You chose.
Thank you, Doug.
You're
Doug
welcome.
does a great job of putting a
Good to
service
see
together.
you.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Trish.
Thank
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, Trish, we miss you. Okay,
I
Trish.
miss you all.
Yeah, we miss you
Bye.
too, lady.
It's requited.
Doug, I sent you an email.
All right. Taking off. See you later.
Take care.
Uh-huh.